We are live on the Bullpen Podcast. Welcome into the show tonight. It is Wednesday, August 24th. I am your host, Chris Krogman. Welcomed in by some dude in Florida named Adam. He goes by @Kunos19 on the Twitterverse. Go hit him up. You can follow Adam and myself at ShyBears1985 on the Twitterverse. Follow the show at the Bullpen Podcast. Adam, how are you, man?
Doing good. I mean, I said last week I have hope. That hope was pretty much taken and crushed right before my very eyes in Cleveland, and then again in Kansas City, and then again in Baltimore. So it feels like I've been run over by 3 different buses in 3 different cities in 3 days. But I guess that's the life of a White Sox fan right now. Is that your hopes and dreams are being crushed day after day.
What teams were those?
The Guardians, the Royals, and the Orioles.
Royals. That's tough.
Yeah, I can't really say much to Baltimore. They're pretty good, and we're going to show them some love later on this evening.
Well, that just makes me warm and fuzzy. We are sponsored by Fanatics. Head on over to Fanatics for all of your where do you get this shit? All your MLB back to school supplies and gear. I'm guessing Adam goes and researches the new backpacks and trapper keepers the kids are rocking with their MLB teams on them. I'm making a very dated reference if anybody doesn't know what a trapper keeper is. Shit's old as
I haven't had a trapper keeper since middle school.
Yeah, so it was a binder that you kind of kept all your stuff in, and you flipped it over, and it velcroed, and they were wild. They had like crazy designs on them, and they were all the rage back in the day. They had a great commercial. I think that's what gets kids is these commercials, and then we're like, oh, parents, buy us these stupid folders. I mean, it's just a folder anyway. So yeah, get back to school gear if your kids aren't back in school. My kids have been back in school for a week and a half. It's glorious. It's so quiet during the day. Take many naps. It's fantastic. But we're not here to talk about that anymore. We're here to talk baseball. And we are going to start with Adam's very favorite team in the whole wide world, the Cleveland Guardians. Adam, how did the White Sox and Guardians series go this past weekend?
Well, I'll give you a little bit of a recap of how we thought this series would go. You thought it would be a 2-1 Guardians series win. I thought it would be a 2-1 White Sox win. It ended up being a 1-1 series split with a rain out on Sunday. So Mother Nature said, "F this shit. We're just gonna rain this game out." Guardians take game 1, 5-2. White Sox come back to take game 2, 2-0. The big story from the series is, again, Johnny Cueto goes 8 and 2 innings in game 2, 2 Ks, 1 walk, 5 hits over 8+ innings. Again, we talked about this last week. He is a underrated free agent signing of the year. He has been a workhorse for this team, and he has gone on and proved it again and again. He got AL Player of the Week honors from his performance in Cleveland. And well-deserved. He was just eating up Cleveland hitting left and right, leading him to 5 hits. Liam Hendricks comes in to shut down. A great game overall for the White Sox. A good win. Good pitching from Cueto. Definitely saved some bullpen because they needed it going into Kansas City and now in Baltimore. Game 3 got postponed due to weather. That game has yet to be announced. And then before the series even started, White Sox signed veteran Elvis Andrus for the remainder of the season. He's going to fill in the gap for Tim Anderson, who's out with a wrist injury. So he will be playing shortstop until Anderson comes back, and then we'll probably just kind of alternate with Anderson when he returns to the lineup. So, Chris, I said that the Sox are breaking my heart, crushing my hopes and dreams. Do you think I should have some hope for this team, or is this just going to be a long end to the season for the White Sox?
I don't. I've been down on the White Sox pretty much all year, man. Not all year. Obviously, when we started back in April, we both thought that they would win the Central. Unfortunately, they just haven't lived up to their end of the bargain. Right now, Fangraphs has them at a 29% chance to make the playoffs, a less than 1% chance to win the World Series, 12% chance to clinch a wild card berth. So I'm not loving it. Not loving their chances. They have a pretty easy um, strength of schedule rest of the way. So we'll see. We'll see, man. I don't. I mean, something drastic has to change, and I don't know what that thing is. Tim Anderson being out doesn't help them at all.
Well, you got Tim Anderson out. Grandal is now out with a knee injury. Lloyd Jimenez is day to day with negative X-rays on his wrist, so he's out for a couple days. So it seems that injury after injury are just piling up on this team. They just can't seem to recover and stay healthy for this season. So it's not. I know White Sox fans, if you are listening, it's not the season that we were hoping for. We thought we'd be just cruising for this division again and kind of making a run at a pennant this year. We thought we had the team to do it, but it's just been a not gonna say disaster, just a downhill, out of control avalanche that we have not been able to get from under. I mean, it took us half a season to get over 500 and stay over 500. Now we can't seem to get maybe 5 games above 500. And again, the AL Central is a very weak division right now. That's not the strongest division out of the six right now. It has to be the weakest out of the six divisions. So you have to think that if the White Sox are going to make a charge, now has to be the time because they are starting to run out of time. I mean, we're almost through August. We're about a week away from September. You get into that final 2 weeks of the season, it's hard to make a playoff push. I mean, we've seen teams get hot that time. We've seen teams make pushes, and a good amount of them come up short. I mean,
Yeah, so Twins are Guardians lead the division. Twins are in second. White Sox are in third. I don't know if I would call it a disaster, but like 83 wins out of a team last year that won how many games?
um, talking Cleveland.
No, the White Sox.
White Sox, they were 93 wins last year.
Yeah, to lose 10 wins off of that is definitely tough. I don't have much hope for the White Sox. As far as the Guardians go, they're playing above their head. I mean, I don't think they're going to go anywhere in the playoffs, but they definitely have some talent on that team. It's a good young team. They've made some key moves over the last few years. Trading Lindor to the Mets. They have Jose Ramirez, who's a great young third baseman. Um, so they have a solid unit. They have some good pitching up there with Shane Bieber and Tristan McKenzie. So I think the Guardians are actually a lot better off for the next few years than potentially the White Sox are. I mean, I just don't know what the White Sox are going to do. I feel like long term, this looks like a potential blow up situation. Because they just can't stay healthy and they can't keep it together. I don't know what they're going to do. But moving on to the next series, as we don't want to dwell in the AL Central forever. The Toronto Blue Jays and the New York Yankees got together in the Bronx, and Adam had Toronto winning the series 3-1. I had this series split at 2-2, and Adam was your bullpen podcast host, winner of this series, as the Jays won 3-1. taking the first three games 9-2, 4-0, and 5-2. Yankees won 4-2 in game four. They are 3-7 in their last 10 games. The Yankees. Tampa's 7-3 in their last 10. Toronto is just 5-5. Um, Yankees just swept the Mets in the Subway Series, two games over the last couple days. So they may be breaking out of it, but it's not like they scored a shit ton of runs or anything. It was like 4-2 both games. Do we think, Adam, that Toronto can catapult themselves into making a significant run? Obviously, they are playoff bound right now, with a 94% chance to make the playoffs. They are. Where's the wild card? Shit. Um, Leading the wild card right now by the first spot by they're up they're up on the Mariners for the first spot by half a game. They're up on the Rays by a full game for that first spot. So what do we think about the hat you're rocking right now, Mr. Kunos?
Yeah, the rocking the Blue Jays hat tonight because I am showing some love to Toronto. I definitely think they're going to make a run for a wild card spot. Will they get the top wild card spot? I think that's their best option right now. As they sit in the division, they sit 8.5
Is
back.
it an option? Is that do they just get to pick? Is it an option?
I mean, I'm looking at it this way. New York lost a 10-game lead over Tampa and Toronto combined, so that lead was over 10 games is now down to 8.5 games.
Crazy.
New York has kind of fallen apart over the last month and a half. I think Toronto can make a serious run. I think they're definitely going to be a wild card spot, a second wild card clincher at least. But I think if they continue playing like they are, they could make a serious run for this division. I mean, they played New York extremely well. The offense did show up in the Bronx. They had a crazy home run in Game 4 where it took two. I'm not sure if you saw this, where it took two bounces off the fence in right field and then went over. I mean, that says how either good the Blue Jays season is going or just how bad the Yankees' luck is going right now, where a ball has to bounce twice off the top of the fence before falling into the stands.
The physics of that is just crazy. I mean, just hearing that is just nuts. Like the ball would have had to been going straight up and down to just bounce twice on the wall. So
If I can find the video, I will send it on our Twitter page, and you can be the judge for crazy physics on that one. I definitely think Toronto's making a huge push for a playoff spot. I definitely think they're going to be at least a wild card. But if they continue playing this way, they could be a team that once the playoffs start, they're gonna be a dangerous team getting to the playoffs. I mean, they're getting hot at the right time. I guess that manager fire that they had early in the season has kind of catapulted them into a better
working
team.
out.
Yeah,
Working
so
out.
yeah, I
They
like Toronto. I do like Toronto right now.
Yeah, I do too. But we've known that. I had Toronto either winning this division or winning the. I have them winning the World Series. I have a lot of teams winning the World Series, obviously with um, futures bets, but definitely have liked Toronto most of the season. Firing their manager, I did not see coming, but it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. So moving on to our next series, I can't fucking believe this happened. The Houston Astros at the Atlanta Braves. Probably should have seen it coming with it being in Atlanta. Uh, Adam, you had the series 2-1. I had the series 2-1, but the other way you had Atlanta, I had Houston. How did it break down?
It broke down with the Braves taking game 1 6-2. They took game 2 5-4, and the Astros come back to win 5-4. So I go 2 for 3 in this weekend's past weekend picks. It would have been I believe it would have been a solid 3 for 3 because Cease was on the mound. I'm going to stand by that.
Cease fucking failed the next day, dude. Don't say that.
He failed in ball. Yeah, he failed it. Yeah. So anyway,
So let's just skip that part.
we're just gonna skip that part because it's gonna make me cry.
That's all right. Scherzer failed in the Bronx, so it's all good.
As of right now, Atlanta sits a game and a half behind the Mets for the NL East. They're at 78 and 48. Mets are at 79 and 46. Over in the NL wild card, Atlanta has a 10-game lead over the Phillies for the top wild card spot. Do you lock in New York, Atlanta as your top 2 East Division playoff contenders?
Yeah, easy. Atlanta, dude, I just don't understand like what Atlanta's non-divisional schedule is like because they should essentially play the same schedule as the Mets. But I swear to God, every time I look up, they're playing the Pirates or the Reds or the A's or some other bootsy ass team, the Royals, the White Sox. Just kidding. They
Next
just
year.
like they're just never fucking playing anybody. And when they play the Mets, the only series they beat the Mets is they took 3 out of 4 in Atlanta recently. It was a good series. I mean, it was close for most of it. I think one game Atlanta scored a shit ton of runs, like when the Mets were throwing bullpen guys, and it was like the Mets starters got hurt the first 2 games of the series, which no excuses. Next man up. They need to win the game, but the Mets schedule down in September. So after the Mets play the Dodgers next week, they don't play a team with a winning record except for one time in all of September until the very end of the month. So we'll see how that division shakes out by itself, but those 2 should easily be the top 2 or those top 2. There's no way like Phillies aren't going to come in with a 10-game lead, and then whoever wins the Central is just going to win the Central. It's not like they're going to contend for that wild card spot. The Phillies have a game and a half lead over the Padres for that 3rd spot. Brewers are a game behind the Padres. They could catch them, I suppose, but nobody's catching the Braves or the Mets if they fall out of that top spot.
Yeah, so you mentioned the Mets schedule. So I have the remaining series for the Braves. Out of the remaining series, take a guess of how many teams that are over 500 they're going to face.
They play like 7 against the Phillies, which is probably the best team they play, but I'm guessing they play nobody the rest of the fucking season either.
So they have a series against the Cardinals. That'll be their next team above 500 that's coming up. And then they got Colorado, Miami, Oakland. Then they got Seattle. So that'll be American League division. They're going to be in Seattle. So that'll be one more team over 500. Then San Francisco, they're borderline. Depending on where they are, they could be 500. Philadelphia, Washington, Philly, Washington. They have their final series against the Mets to break in October, and then they finish at Miami. So the schedule kind of leads in their favor with they're playing Washington, Oakland, Miami, Colorado. So I think this is going to probably be a division that you're going to want to just kind of catch every game going down the line.
Yep. What did you rattle off the Mets remaining schedule or no?
Nope, but I can here in a second.
You don't have to. It's they're playing, like I said, they only play like one winning team. The remaining strength of schedule for the Braves is about 500. For the Mets, it is
they have the Dodgers coming up after the Colorado series. Yeah, they got the Dodgers.
They have the Rockies this weekend in New York, and then they have the Dodgers in New York, and then they play like Washington.
They have no. The only team that they have above 500 is going to be Milwaukee, and that's the only above 500 team they're going to be playing in September.
Yeah,
until the playoffs.
Until the Braves
Atlanta.
series.
Yeah, until the Braves. Yeah.
What? Where is that Milwaukee series?
That Milwaukee series is going to be September 19th to 21st in Milwaukee.
In Milwaukee. Fantastic. Milwaukee doesn't scare me. They can't score for shit. And even if we see Burns, they'll probably see DeGrom and or Scherzer. So
Yeah.
anyway, this is not a Mets and White Sox show. So we will press forward. Um, as far as that, as far as Houston goes, Seattle's not catching them for the West, obviously.
No.
Um, Houston to me is very they're very inconsistent. They can just be absolutely dominant, or then they can lose. To good teams like the Braves. So I don't feel super confident that Houston can make a run again in the playoffs. But I mean, it's a very good team, and like Justin Verlander is, apparently not a human being. He's an alien. So
Yeah, pretty
that's
much.
he's just ridiculous. Anyway, onward and upward. We have a little, like Adam said earlier, a little segment on a up and coming team, which is fun for us to do since we talk mostly about the top ends of the divisions, top ends of the playoff spectrum. Obviously, we have touched on the Orioles season this year and how they have improved. Adam, you put this together. Why don't you show some love to these Baltimore Birds?
So we're going to talk about the Baltimore Birds indeed. Let's actually look back at the last 5 seasons. So if you're a fan of Baltimore, you know the last time you made the playoffs was in 2016. That was via a wild card spot. But then you remember how 2017 went. They finished 75 and 87, 18 games back. 2018, 45 and 115, 61 games back of the Red Sox that season. They go 54-108 the following season. 2020, we know that's a screwed up year to begin with. 25 and 35, finished fourth. 2021, they kind of regressed a little, 52 and 110, finishing fifth. It wasn't that long ago, Chris. This team at the start of the 2010s was a consistent team. They made the playoffs constantly between 2012 through 2016, winning division titles during that span, gained to the ALCS in 2012. But in that time, players that have been traded away from this team, Manny Machado is now in San Diego. Zach Britton is with the Yankees. Jonathan Scoop with the Tigers. Kevin Gausman with the Blue Jays. And Trey Mancini, most recently, is now Houston Astros. But with these trades, they have piled up some great prospects. We got Gunnar Henson, a shortstop, third baseman, who's ranked number 2. He's expected to make his MLB debut in 2023. He's currently sitting in AAA. Grayson Rodriguez, who's ranked number 4, right-handed pitcher, also expected to make his MLB debut in 2023, also in AAA. Jackson Holliday, who they just drafted, is sitting at 11th shortstop. They're expecting 2025 for his MLB debut, so depending on how he progresses through the minors and how this Orioles team presses on over the next couple of years, he could be that around 2025 or earlier. Colton Cowser, 43 outfielder, also expected to make his debut in 2023. Jordan Westberg, sitting at 80, infield utility, expected also in 2023. And D.L. Hall, left-handed pitcher, he's expected to make his debut this year, but I don't know if he'll be called up for the remainder of the season. It just depends on where Baltimore sits when call-ups are coming up. Since the All-Star break, they have been 17 and 13. They had a nice winning streak to kind of close out the first half, kind of putting them over 500, and they have actually thrown themselves back into a wild card race. They're currently 64 and 58, 11 games back of the Yankees. However, in the wild card, they're just 2 games back of the Mariners for that final wild card spot. So, Chris, we talked about this with the Mariners last year, how they were maybe a season ahead of what we were expecting them to be. With the way the Mariners finished out last season, almost getting to the playoffs. Is Baltimore kind of following that Seattle timeline, or do you think that they can actually get to the playoffs this year and break that trend?
Mm. I don't think they make the playoffs this year, but they're definitely making the playoffs next year. And I think, like, I talk about gambling enough on this podcast. I follow quite a bit of guys on Twitter that have talked about this as a futures bet is the Orioles to make the playoffs in 2023, and they were talking about it 2 months ago. It's a good, young, talented team, like you mentioned, tons of guys on the way. They have a great young catcher in Adley Rushman. They have some good young pitching out there. They still have Cedric Mullins roaming the outfield. So, yeah, I mean the Orioles are a real deal, and I hope that I don't know what Baltimore crowds are like currently, but I remember they used to support the Orioles big time. Back in Cal Ripken's heyday and Rafael Palmeiro and those guys, Eddie Murray, and in the '90s. So it'll be fun to see that AL East just add another team to the mix of an already very stacked division. Um, best division in baseball right now by quite a wide margin. So I don't think they make the playoffs this year. What do you think?
Um, I would. I kind of had this feeling with the Seattle last year. I would love for them to see them in the playoffs. I think it would be a great story. But I'm going to agree with you. I don't think they're there quite yet. But I do think next year they are a definite playoff contender, or maybe even AL East contender, just with this lineup that they're putting together. I mean, you hate to see some of these good names get traded away, but they're showing that these trades are finally paying off for them. How they're giving them some good prospects. How it's creating an actually better franchise going forward for this team. And I mean, I got the White Sox O's game on right now, and it's not like a crowd game, but it's a pretty decent crowd for a Wednesday night in Baltimore. They got a decent crowd in the stadium for this team. I don't know what the attendance is right now, but it's a fairly good crowd in Camden Yards right now.
Yeah,
But yeah, I mean, you talk about back in the '90s, Eddie Murray, Cal Ripken, Rafael Palmeiro, how they just supported his team. They were definitely down, definitely a team down when it came to the 2000s. Had resurgence early 2010s, and it looks like they're just finding that resurgence again. So yeah, this AL East is just gonna be fun to watch going into next year. I mean, add them to the Blue Jays, the Rays, the Yankees. And we can throw the Red Sox in there too. That's just a stack division from top to bottom.
yeah. I don't see the Red Sox being good for very very much longer. Somebody's got to start to shit the bed in that league or in that division.
Yes, and it's probably going to be the Red Sox. So
Yes. Yes. Well, I think we are onto something with these Orioles. They are going to be a lot of fun to watch. Adley Rushman is just raking the ball. Being a top prospect coming into the season took him about half the year to figure out the bat, and now he's just been 400 plus hitter for like a month or two, or a month and a half. So he is raking the ball, and they figure out some other key positions. I mean, contending for the AL East, it's going to depend on what happens as far as player movement for the rest of the division. Um, but yeah, good stuff in Baltimore. What else we got
exactly.
shaking, Adam?
So today, baseball released their 2023 schedules, and if you're used to what you see from schedules, you notice it's a little bit different. It is a more balanced schedule for 2023. So, if you look at other leagues, hockey, football, basketball, even soccer, MLS, they have a balanced schedule. In the NHL, NBA, and MLS, you play everyone at least twice. You play once at home, once on the road. NFL, you play each division rival twice. You play a interleague divisional opponent. Then you play teams who finish with the same position as you the prior year, and then one extra game. So it's a very balanced schedule. Major League Baseball is finally jumping into the balanced schedule threshold. So the schedule will look like this. Divisional opponents are going to be 52 games, so that's down from 76 divisional opponent games to 52. Um, Interleague games, so games against teams in your own league, will be 64, and there are going to now be 46 interleague games a year that you'll be facing. So you're going to be playing so White Sox, you're going to play every National League team next year. You're going to see every American League team. If you play the Mets one year in Shea Stadium, or I'm sorry, in Citi Field, the following year they travel to Chicago. So it'll be a alternating home road for interleague games. However, you will still get these natural interleague matchups. So Yankees Mets will still meet, Dodgers Angels will still meet, Cubs White Sox will still meet, Athletics Giants will still meet, Rays Marlins will still meet every year. So your natural interleague rivals will still meet throughout the year. Chris, I see that look on your face. Are you a fan?
I'm just thinking about how the Braves have like nobody in their fucking close to in the talent of the Yankees in their backyard.
So if you go back to when interleague first started, um, it was Florida. It was at the time Tampa Bay, Miami, um, Toronto, Montreal, New York, Baltimore, Philadelphia, Atlanta, Boston, where you're designated.
Why would Baltimore play Philadelphia? And oh, because Montreal. Okay,
There,
so
it
now
was
it's
also based on locations as well. Baltimore and Philadelphia are in proximity to each other,
right, but
and then you would get
Baltimore, DC makes more sense now. But
yeah,
that
and then
was
you
a
would
long
get
time ago.
Boston, Atlanta with the Boston Braves, old throwback. But
Like I said, Boston's going to suck next year, and Atlanta's just going to skate by with another cake schedule. So this is basically down two series against your opponent or against uh, your inner division. So play each division rival two less times. You play them 13 times instead of 19 times. You'll play interleague games more, which is that's always fun. I mean,
mm-hmm.
it should happen. I always liked how football did it with rotating it against other divisions or against the NL Central would play like the AL West a bunch of times, and then the next year they would play the AL East a bunch of times, and so on, and just cycle through it like that. This works as well. Playing obviously, you have so many games in series, you could play everybody once. So that it sounds fine. No big deal. When this division shift thing went from like set to 76 games, that was a shock to the system because I don't recall how many games you played against your division rivals before that, but that seemed like a big jump.
Yeah, I know when they shifted. I know when they started interleague play, it was when it started in '97. It was NL Central versus AL Central for the longest time. They just went division versus division. It wasn't until I believe mid 2000s, like 2002 or 2003, where they started rotating divisions. Where they started saying, okay, AL East, you're going to play the NL West. AL Central, you're playing the NL East, and vice versa. And they just kept rotating. So
Right.
about every 3 years, you would face your interleague divisional opponent. Um, I'm a fan of this because I'm looking forward to seeing some matchups that you haven't seen in a while. Like in our family, I'm looking forward to see a White Sox Mets series, maybe in Citi Field or at the Cell. Um, Looking
The
forward to see
cell.
the
Good
Cell.
God.
I'll still call it the Cell or Comiskey.
No
Um,
wonder you guys are locked in jail. Locked
uh,
in
this is Twitter jail, absolutely. Um, and I'm a fan of the schedule. I'm a fan of this format, so I'm looking forward to seeing how this plays out next year.
Yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be a lot of fun. Schedule changes are always interesting. Um, is this part was this part of the CBA or what brought on this schedule change, especially with the division
I
drop?
believe this was a part of CBA where they said they were going to include a more balanced team schedule going forward. I think they were trying to throw it in this year, but I think they obviously pushed it back to next year.
I'm curious how that affects travel. What they'll do about that. Obviously you'll still have road trips and whatnot, but road trips could be longer, or
Mm-hmm.
you could like the Mets could go. They could start in Arizona and go all the way up to Seattle along the western border, or vice versa.
Yeah, so I
Uh,
mean, you do have those like East Coast traveling up and down the East Coast against their division, coastal rivals, and then having to travel out to the other side of the country to face maybe
mhm,
the Angels or the Giants. So
mhm.
that's gonna be interesting to see. So I guess when you look at your team schedule, let us know if you have any cross country travels for your team.
How
Let
would
us
they
know.
know? Is it home and away is already decided and everything?
Yeah, I know the White Sox home and away schedule's already been decided.
That's nuts, man. Isn't
Same
that
with
crazy how different like NFL releases versus MLB releases are? Like NFL
yeah,
schedule release doesn't come until almost like after the draft and shit. Like it's crazy. I mean, you
because
know who you play, but you just don't know when or where.
because doesn't the NFL set your home and away opponents towards the end of the season, but you don't know exactly what week they're going to set?
Right. Right.
I mean,
Yeah, you do know home and away. I mean, you can figure it out based on like what happened the last time you played them. So
mm-hmm.
the next time the Bears play the Broncos, it'll be in Chicago because they came here 2 years ago. So
Yeah.
they should play them next year, I think. Anyway, not a football podcast. So I think this is a very interesting release, and I always love the inner city rivalry um, games. But Adam, you gave the folks a little bit of a tease this week with one of the key topics of this time of the season with Major League Baseball. We haven't gotten to it yet, so let's talk a little MVP, most valuable person,
uh, most
most valuable player.
there. Yeah, let's talk some
Player. That's what it is.
MVP.
MVP. We'll
So
start in Adam's favorite of all of the divisions, the American League. Who, Adam, are the MLV, geez Louise, the MVP candidates in the American League? I mean, it's pretty much decided, but
so I think your top MVP candidate has to be Aaron Judge. I mean, you look at what he's slashing: 293, 392, 652, 129 hits, 98 runs, 46 home runs, 102 RBIs. He has struck out over 100 times, but his OPS one is 1058. So I mean, he has been pretty much crushing the ball all season.
is 46 current? Because I swear he hit 47 and 48 against the Mets.
You know what? I'm pretty sure you are right. Give me 1 second. I haven't had a chance to.
The guy absolutely murders the ball too.
You are correct. He's now sitting at 48 home runs
He barely.
and 105 RBIs. I mean, the swing is so effortless that when the ball makes contact with the bat, it just pretty much jumps
Well, he's
right off.
6'7", man. He's just an extension. It's just an extension of his body. He just throws his bat out there, um, and the ball goes boom.
The ball does go boom. Yeah, exactly. Um, so another one that I thought would be possible contender was Jordan Alvarez from Houston, slashing 296, 392, 652, 107 hits, 77 runs, 31 homers, 79 RBIs, OPS of 1009. And your last candidate, last year's defending AL MVP, Shohei Ohtani of the Angels, 256, 357, 516, 115 hits, 67 runs, 27 home runs, 72 RBIs, OPS of 873, struck out 119 times. Chris, did I miss anyone in the American League, or who do you think I missed?
Well, the odds-on favorite for for the MVP in the American League lists Aaron Judge first at minus 900, which is just ridiculous. It's pretty much he's running away with it. Shohei Ohtani coming in second at plus 550. And then there is somebody at plus 12,500 along with Jordan Alvarez, and that is Mr. Jose Ramirez.
Okay, I did think about Jose Ramirez. I probably could have added him in place of Jordan Alvarez, but I just think the way Houston's playing, Jordan may get a couple more votes than Ramirez when it comes down to the MVP voting. But
he's been ridiculous. The only thing that's really stopped him from being even more of a contender for this is injury. He's been injured a few times.
And that's also what I kind of looked at was he was on the injured list for a while, and Jordan has been a little more consistent with the bat, staying out of the injury phase, I believe, this year. Yeah, when you look at it, Aaron Judge has to be your overall favorite in the American League. Just the way he's been playing this year, the way the Yankees have been playing, even though they kind of been slipping late. I think that Aaron Judge is probably your odds-on favorite to finish out with the AL MVP. I mean, the only thing that could stop him would be an injury, and he has had this issue with injuries in the past. I mean, he has gone down with injuries kind of late in the season, but he's found a way to stay healthy this year, and I mean, good on him. The season he's having is proof that when he stays healthy, he's a very dangerous player.
Extremely, he's ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. I'm trying to look up. Yeah, so Ramirez is a slightly better favorite at 8-1 as opposed to 12.5-1 that Alvarez is. Yeah. All good. Nobody is touching All Rise.
No, absolutely not. Chris, let's move over to your league now. Let's talk National League. So, why don't you give the folks the three that I have listed and see if I can pick if I missed anybody?
All right. So, the odds-on favorite at minus 500 is Mr. Paul Goldschmidt of the St. Louis Cardinals, slashing 340, 422, 636. He has 146 hits, scored 87 runs, has 31 bombs, 100 RBIs. He struck out 101 times, but also has a 1058 ops. So he has put up almost similar numbers outside of the home runs to Aaron Judge. What's crazy about Aaron Judge is he only has 102 RBIs with 46 home runs. That's like half of his shit is solo shots. But yeah, Goldie is having an absolutely phenomenal year. Down in LA, Freddie Freeman is at 20 to 1 or 12 to wait, what is that? Yeah, 20-1. With a 324 average, 400 on base, and 521 slugging. 151 hits, 85 runs scored. Has hit 16 home runs, 74 ribbies. Only struck out 80 times. It has a 921 OPS. And then Mr. Austin Briley of the Atlanta Braves, 25-1 with a 286 average, 353 on base percentage, which is terrible. He needs to walk more. 562 slugging, 136 hits, 71 runs, 31 home runs, 78 ribbies, 127 strikeouts because the Braves lead everybody in strikeouts, and a 915 OPS. Who is the missing target, Mister? Who knows?
So I'm looking at your league leaders in the American League.
How about you should look at the National League because that's where we're at.
Sorry, I'm at National League. You know, when I was putting this list together, I thought Mookie Betts could have been someone that would have added onto this MVP contender. I'm looking at his current slashing lines right now. He's 275, 27 home runs, 62 RBIs. Um, let's see, 275, 347, 534, OPS of 881. Is it Mookie Betts who is that missing piece for the NL MVP contender?
It is not Mookie Betts, but it is a teammate of one of the other two gentlemen.
One of the other two gentlemen, Nolan Arenado.
It is Nolan Arenado. But there are three Dodgers up there, and Betts is one of them. He's just not in the top five or
Is
top
Trey
three.
is Trey Turner one the other one?
Yeah, he's the other one. Yep.
Okay, that's it.
So Freeman is currently third odds-on favorite. Betts is fifth, and Turner is sixth.
Okay.
Craziness.
I mean, I am a huge Goldsmith fan. I mean, I loved him when he was with Arizona. He always had these MVP seasons, but never could get like hired. I think fourth or fifth in the MVP voting. I think this is his best chance to run away with an NL MVP. He is just playing lights out. He kind of had a slow start, but then he just got hot at the right time. Middle of April, middle of May is when he started heating up, and he has just been helping this Cardinals team kind of push their way into the NL Central lead. Um, I'm rooting for Goldie to run away with the NL MVP. He would be my pick if I were to get a vote in the MVP, which I don't know why we don't get a vote. We are talking baseball every week. We should get votes for MVP Cy Young, in my opinion. I would vote for Goldie. He would be my top vote getter for NL MVP.
I agree. He's carried Cardinals. Not that Arenado hasn't, contributed. Obviously, he's right there. They're 1-2 in the odds. But and I can't say that Freddie Freeman. Obviously, you have two other guys that are fifth and sixth. But yeah, Goldie is definitely up there. If the Padres were doing a little bit better, I would probably push Machado up there. Pete Alonso has gone into an absolute cold spell. Francisco Lindor is smoking hot, but I don't think he's going to. I don't think he did enough early in the season to warrant an MVP. But those are pretty much your top 10 guys. And then in the American League, we talked about Judge, Otani, Ramirez, and Alvarez, Kyle Tucker, Vlad Guerrero, Rafi Devers, Jose Altuve, and Byron Buxton round out the top 10 over there. So all phenomenal players, but I think, Goldschmidt and Judge have a firm hold on the MVP. But this is a writer voted award, correct? So we
Yep.
never know what these folks are thinking. You can look at stats, you can look at how they play. To me, MVPs come up in clutch moments, so I would love to see those kind of numbers, but it's hard to find that shit. But yeah, yeah, I think those are your guys. We'll talk Cy Youngs next week, probably. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll do some Cy Young chat next week. We'll get some top contenders for Cy Young, and we'll debate on who we think is a Cy Young candidate or candidates for each league. Um, So, Chris, as we come to the end of the show, we are going into our usual final segment, which is the weekend preview. And I do apologize, I did not get a chance to put on the pitchers for the weekend for the three series that we have on tap. Um, but the first series I think we should talk about, one that I think will be a kind of a test for Baltimore. They're going to be going to Houston to play the Houston Astros in a three-game series. Um, Current pitching lineups, Houston has not yet named any of their pitchers for the series. However, Baltimore is going to start with Bradish, 1-5, a 6.25 ERA. Then they're going to be going with Kremer, 5-4 with a 3.45 ERA, and then they're going to end with Boff, who is 4-1 with a 4.73 ERA. So that's who they're going to be sending out against Houston. For me, this is a good test for Baltimore to see how well of a team they are. They're going up against the best team in the American League, in my opinion, with the Houston Astros. And I think if Baltimore does want to make some serious noise in the wild card race, I think this is a good series that is going to test them. They're currently down 5-1 against the White Sox right now, but this will probably be a bigger series going forward for them. Who, Chris, for this series, if Baltimore were to take a two or three from Houston, does this elevate their playoff status?
It elevates it, but they still got to keep it going. I mean, they still got some. So from what I'm seeing on Fantasy Pros probable pitchers, which is just based off of like the rotation that they've kept all year, the Stros will most likely go with Lance McCullers, Christian Javier, and Jose Urquidy, or what's his name, Adam?
I'm not going to even bother with that
Come
one.
on, man, you can say
Nope.
Urquidy. So I
Urquidy.
don't think Baltimore takes 2 out of 3 from this Houston squad. They're probably pissed. Houston's playing Minnesota right now. Not sure where they're at, but anyway, yeah. If Baltimore can take 2 out of 3 from Houston, I would definitely say that they are a contender. If they take 1 out of 3, I'd be shocked. Um, what did I just lost it? Yeah, it's at home in Houston, so um, I'm gonna go with the old Astros sweep.
All right, Astros sweep. You're breaking out the brooms for the Stros. I'm gonna give Baltimore at least one game. I'm gonna go Houston takes 2 out of 3 as well. I think Houston's just such a dominant team, pitching, offense. I think Baltimore. I mean, we showed them some love. They're a good team. They're playing higher than what we expected to play. Their record is better than what we thought they were going to be at. But I think they are going to kind of lose some ground in the wild card race this weekend. I think they drop 2 out of 3 to Houston. So I will give the Astros a 2-1 series win in this one. Next series we have, Chris, is a 4-game series which features the Cleveland Guardians at the Seattle Mariners. So you have the AL Central leading Guardians going up against the wild card leading Mariners. Chris, do you want to break this one down real quick?
Yeah, so the Mariners, being the home squad, will throw Marco Gonzalez, Lucas Gilbert, Luis Castillo, and Robbie Ray. The visiting Cleveland Guardians will trot out Trenton McKenzie, Shane Bieber, Zach Plesac, and Aaron Savali. Seattle stuff. Let's see here. What is their last 10? Too many web pages. Come on.
Seattle's last 10. They're 5-5. They lost their last game.
5-5, lost their last game. So I mean, I think I'm leaning 2-2 with Cleveland winning the first two and losing the second two, just based off of pitching matchups. Um, Gonzalez is solid, but he's still sub 500. Gilbert's a solid pitcher, so maybe it goes Cleveland first, Seattle second, Cleveland third. I don't know. I could see it. I could see it being a 3-1 Seattle series with Gilbert, Castillo, and Ray at the back end winning. Winning the weekend. But I like Cleveland's Savali's freaking terrible. That guy's awful, and Plesac's not much better. But McKenzie and Bieber are both very good. So Thursday, Friday games should be fantastic.
Yeah, I agree. McKenzie and Bieber are probably the two out there. Cleveland's pitching has been kind of up and down all year to begin with. They haven't had really a steady rotation from start to finish. They have had some more inconsistencies this year than we've seen. Um, well, Cleveland is coming off a quick 2-game sweep of the Padres, winning the first game 3-1, then shutting out the Padres 7-0 today. So they are coming off a series split against the White Sox and taking a 2 quick game series against the Padres. So, I mean, but the question is, which Cleveland offense is going to show up? I mean, the Cleveland offense has been, like, I'll say up and down all season.
Their road offense seems to be better than their home offense for whatever reason.
Yeah, and they're going to be in Seattle, which means if you go by the numbers on that one, they should be just crushing the ball left and right the entire time. But I'm going to go Seattle with a 3-1 series win on this one. Yeah, I mean, I'm with you on this one too. I could see it going maybe a 3-1 Cleveland series. I do not see a sweep by any two teams. So I do not see Seattle sweeping or Cleveland sweeping. But I do see Seattle taking 3-1 from the Guardians.
Yeah, I'm gonna go 2-2.
All right, got that locked in for our picks. And then the final game, we have the hot Atlanta Braves versus the St. Louis Cardinals, a quick 3-game series. That's going to be in St. Louis. So we got Strider versus Katana in game one. That's going to be Strider 7-4, Katana's 4-5. Morton versus Montgomery in game two. Morton 6-5, Montgomery 7-3. And then Odorsey and Wainwright game three.
A who?
Don't even start. I'll let you read that last one. But I'm looking at this. These pitchers are identical, almost record for record. If you look at them, I mean, it just looks like they're identical.
I think
pitching
records for pitchers are so whatever. I mean,
would it be the same as quarterback win losses?
no, because pitchers don't directly affect offense, where quarterbacks do directly affect offense. They don't directly affect defense, but like Jake won a fucking Cy Young at like 11-8. So
yeah, that was crazy. That was crazy.
So I just don't put a whole lot of stock in just win loss. I mean, if you have win loss plus some other stuff to back it up, like Michael Waka is 8-1, but he's got some good numbers to back it up. What was the guy's name in Los Angeles? What's his name? Tony Gosselin, 16-1, but his batting average against and his ERA are absolutely ridiculous. So, I mean, Strider, it's his first year out of the bullpen. He's still a young kid. He's pitching very well. Charlie Morton is as old as dirt, but he's doing okay. And Jake Odorizzi, the pitcher they picked up from Houston, is fine. He's nothing to write home about. Quintana, the Cardinals picked him up from Pittsburgh. Jordan Montgomery they picked up from the Yankees, and he's actually been really good for them. He's won, I think, at least two out of his first three starts from them, if not all of them. And then Adam Wainwright is just old reliable. So because I don't like the Braves, I'm going to take St. Louis to win two out of three.
Okay.
With Atlanta's going to win the opener, and then St. Louis will win the next two.
All right. St. Louis 2 out of 3. Yeah, I mean, I can't argue with your pitching and now pitching. How you broke down the pitching. Wainwright is just he's old. Him, Pujols, and Molina on that team have
Hold.
just the old guys on the team. Um, I'm highly expecting that Wainwright, Molina, and Pujols all retire at the end of the season. I think they all call it quits together. They kind of three retire at once. But I'm just going with Atlanta. Atlanta's just been such a dominant team. I don't know what they're doing in Atlanta. I mean, what was it? Mid August last year, we saw this team just take off, kind of overtake that division for the NL East. Kind of win on the last day. I'm going Atlanta 2-1. I'll take Atlanta 2-1.
You would.
I would do that, but
It's fair. They're a good team.
yeah.
And they have. I don't know. I'm just curious if these young kids can keep it up throughout the playoffs and everything like that. I mean, they are leaning on a lot of young talent, and they're playing fantastic. Don't get me wrong. Michael Harris and um, Grissom and Strider all playing very well. We'll see if they can continue to put up numbers. And then, you got Robbie Grossman, who's playing well. Austin Riley is a beast. Matt Olson's a beast. Uh, Ronald Acuna is a beast. So they have talent top to bottom in that on that team. So it's gonna be tough to beat them for the next few years. We'll just see if this is still their year to repeat as World Series champions, or if they strike out too much to make a run.
Funny you mention that. So when you look at your past World Series winners, again, we have not had a repeat champion in baseball since the Yankees three-peat of 98, 99, 2000. I think out of the four major sports, baseball has the longest repeat drought. You had you had Patriot. Sorry, I can't remember football who repeated back in football, because I think that's just as hard to repeat as in baseball.
I think the Patriots are the last ones to repeat.
I think they are 2003, 2004.
It's the 1, 2, or 3, 4 or something like that.
Yeah, well, I got the damn band right behind me. 03, 04. Hockey, you had the Pittsburgh Penguins in 16 and 17. Basketball, you had the Miami Heat. Golden State Warriors are the latest repeat for basketball. Yeah, I think it's just going to be hard to repeat as champions in baseball. I think as much as I would love to see a repeat, I just think the way the sports play right now, it's just harder to repeat.
Yeah, I mean, Spencer Strider is great. Charlie Morton's great. Odorizzi's been fine, like I said, but the guy I'm like terrified of is Max Fried. I mean, that guy is just absolutely ridiculous. Mm-hmm. So, and then Kyle Wright has been okay. He's been kind of on a slump the last month, but we'll see if they can, match pitching with the Dodgers, the Mets, even Milwaukee, I guess, has a good pitching staff, but they need to get in first. But yeah, I mean, Braves are for real. They definitely have the talent to repeat, and they just win a lot. I mean, they've won like 10 out of 13 or something stupid. Maybe even like 12 out of 14.
Yeah, they've been playing ridiculous baseball over the last month. I will say that.
Hate them.
Fair. That's a fair statement.
Hate him. Yeah. Well, Adam, it's been another fun day talking baseball with you, my friend.
Yeah,
Anything
it
else you want
has.
to share with the folks before we dip out of here for the evening?
No, I'm looking forward to a fun weekend. I will be in Arlington this weekend, so I will be at Globe Life Field to see the Rangers Tigers this weekend. So I will definitely share some pictures of the stadium and anything I see around the area. So I'm looking forward to flying. I fly to Texas on for a quick weekend. Fly out Friday, fly back on Sunday. So looking forward to a quick weekend getaway for a visit with a good friend of mine and my wife's, and then a baseball game in between.
Awesome, man. I will not be attending any out of town baseball this weekend, but we do plan on going to Rockies Padres in September. So
Nice,
that should be fun.
very
But
nice.
until next week, folks, have an awesome weekend and a great week, and we'll see you then.
Have a good night, everyone.